what would you do if you weren't afraid? And I love thinking about that when I'm thinking about big life decisions. Like, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And it's usually like the big one, the bigger thing that I really want to do, but I'm afraid to do it. It's like, that's what I should do. Like, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And what would I do if I didn't, if I knew I couldn't fail?
Following your dreams is a lonely, solitary, scary, dangerous pursuit. You can't wait for somebody to think you can do it. And you got to be willing to risk everything to become that seed of what you believe is in there. You got to be fearless. You got to be relentless.
Risk used to drive me right up the wall. I used to say, what if this happens? It's called the language of the poor. What if this happens? And on top of that, if this was to happen, look at the fix I'd be in. I better not try. Then I'll tell you what changed my whole life when I finally discovered it's all risky. The minute you were born, it got risky. If you think trying is risky, wait till they hand you the bill for not trying. If you think investing is risky, wait till you get the tab for not investing. See, it's all risky. Getting married is risky. Having children is risky. Going into business is risky. Investing your money is risky. It's all risky. I'll tell you how risky life is. You're not going to get out alive.
Gotta let go of that stuff. It just doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what you choose to be.
The comfort zone is dangerous. When you're comfortable, you are at most dangerous. The comfort zone is somewhere you should never feel comfortable. You should be happy and dissatisfied. Anybody ever tell you, hey, look, you know what? Just be satisfied with what you got. Don't believe them. Get them away from you. You should never be satisfied with what you got. Because the attempt to get more makes you into something better all the time. Don't let anybody tell you, hey man, you should just be happy with, no! Nobody knows but you. You can't get advice on what you should do with your life, right? Nobody knows what you are. Like even sometimes you don't really even know what you are. You got to take your shot. And it's like, as much as you want people to agree and you want the people around you to be supporting your dreams and all, it's not going to be like that all the time. You got to do it alone. And people will help you, and when you get the ball rolling, people will jump on. But if you don't believe, nobody else is going to believe.
So I wanted to project myself forward to age 80 and say, okay, now I'm looking back on my life. I want to have minimized the number of regrets I have. And well, I knew that when I was 80, I was not going to regret having tried this. I was not going to regret having trying to participate in this thing called the internet that I thought was going to be a really big deal. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not ever having tried. And I knew that that would haunt me every day. And so when I thought about it that way, it was an incredibly easy decision.
Did I take enough risk? Did I put myself out there enough?
You definitely did.
What's that?
You definitely did not. And here's how I know it. I think, at least, again, one man's point of view, I'm not sure anybody is taking enough risk from 20 to 30.
Yeah.
It is the most interesting thing that I've been thinking about, which is it is never more practical to be disproportionately risky than from 22 to 30, yet everybody goes the other way because now they're the real world and it's time to prove something to their parents, to themselves, to everybody else, and everybody goes conservative.
And that's when I realized that there's two ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want.
This next 5-year window is when you don't go practical and safe. This is not the time to get the job mom wanted you to. This is the time to realize that you have a 5-year window, and it's 3 for some, it's 8 for others, but there's a 5-year window for you to attack the life that you want to win.
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not even me. You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. You want something, go get it. Period.
So many of us come from these small places in our mind that we're not willing to think outside of only what we've seen. Our mind works in such a small compartment. And one thing I was able to do was to dream. And until you're able to really put yourself into that dream, but don't make dreams your master, that's where you truly become what you're destined to become.
So you're always trying to come up with reasons that you don't have to do it today. But if you're building the muscle either way. You're either building the muscle that says, I do what I say, I keep the commitments that I made, or you're building the muscle that says, I make excuses, I don't do what I say, I can't be counted on, right? And so when we think about discipline, it's really about what promises are you going to keep. And the tricky thing is you're keeping promises to yourself that nobody even knows that you made, right? It's not like, hey, you made this commitment. I don't write this book by this time, like, you know, I have to do this embarrassing thing, or, you know, that I'll retire. You know, you're not really putting your ass on the line in that sense. But you said to yourself, we're going to do this thing, and building that muscle is really important.
You have to take chances in life. If you don't take chances in life, you will never have the life God has. Life is about risk. If you play it safe in life, you ain't gonna have much of a life. If you play it safe, you won't have much of a life. Life is risk. It take courage to pursue your dream. I just did it. It cost me everything, but eventually, God is very good, man, when he sees you take a leap of faith. He supplies you everything you need. Now, it's gonna cost you something. But most people are not willing to pay what it costs to go after your dream, because you're gonna have to hurt a little bit.
Everyone thinks you're crazy until it works. And so, I mean, if you think of the outcome as the trump card, then all of the pain and suffering that you lead up to that point, if you're just, I'm trying to think of an appropriate saying, I was gonna say balls deep certain, that no matter what, you will die or you will get there, then the likelihood that all of the things that you've done up to that point will then be justified in retrospect is super high. And I actually see that as super compelling, as a thing to latch onto in harder times.
Interfere with what you know you can do. I mean, don't let the pain fucking rob you of your belief of what you can be. Because your body hears everything your mind says. And anytime you have any kind of discourse, or you start to be subject to the discomforts of the situation, your body remembers that, and your body's just the messenger. You start thinking you can't do it, and that pain's like, oh, it feels, I can't do the pain. Do you think that body's gonna tell your brain, the boss of the world, hey man, we can do it? Bullshit, it's like a little bitch, that body is.
The reason I'm gonna get what I want out of life is because, unlike most, I'm willing to have nothing in the moment. Of course, it feels worlds better to have something right now, but unfortunately, what most people really want is not what's available right now. Those people with the best relationships, the best health, the best careers, it's because they were completely unwilling to settle for anything less than that. And you might think I'm overly optimistic, because most people don't get those great outcomes, but I'm not those people, and you don't have to be either. Most of us, we live in a box, and we don't want to go outside that box at all, ever. Outside that box is all these possibilities of life. What we do is we shackle our mind. We are a prisoner in our own mind, and this is all I can do. This is all I'm good at. What people understand is that they live for themselves, not knowing that you have the power within yourself to change millions of lives by facing life, by facing yourself.
What if it's a mistake? It's a mistake. Rest assured. What do you know? You're going to stumble around, right? And what's going to happen is this. You're going to move, you're going to not stay in stasis. You're not going to wander around in circles. And I see people like that. They said, well, I never knew what to do, and now I'm 40. It's like, that's not so good. That's not so good. And you might say, well, and there is literature too that suggests that people are a lot more unhappy when they look back in their lives about the things they didn't do than they are about the mistakes they made while they were doing things.
We are training kids and people to be soft in a world that continuously gets harder. And it doesn't correlate. Like that guy talking about the tear gas with the SEALs. Is that necessary? I don't know. But what is necessary is you have to build a person that can withstand the pressures of whatever they're going to be dealing with in life. And we don't do that. I'm not trying to send a message of run 200 miles, be the baddest motherfucker in the world. That'd be tough. Better have a part about you that's tough, a part about you that can break down situations and get better.
We actually have to re-embrace risk on a personal level and on a societal level. We have to take the risk of freely exchanging ideas because that's where innovation happens. We have to take the risk of being able to invest and reap the benefits of that risk. In a personal relationship, getting married is a risk. It is foregoing a current benefit for a future gain. Are bad. Right? Everything good is fruit of the poisonous tree. All those institutions were built by rich white men who were seeking to enshrine their own racism in the way the institutions work. Right? Boiled down into less nuanced form, CRT sounds precisely like 𝐒𝐓𝐻 𝐑𝐈𝐒. Okay? And this is a way of reducing risk in how you think about yourself. It's a way of reducing your mental risk. Now, here is the thing. Our aversion to risk, obviously it applies across the board. It applies to finance. We outsource nearly all policy to the Federal Reserve at this point. We have a cadre of experts who are supposed to decide how much your dollar is worth and also keep down unemployment. We outsource all COVID policy to supposed experts who happen to screw it up 6 ways from Sunday while maybe funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan. All these experts fail. And that failure makes us angry because we have been lied to. We've been told we can hand over everything to the experts and they will push a magic button and they will fix everything. But they're lying to us. That's not the case. And when they fail, they have 2 alternatives. They can admit it or they can get us to turn on each other. And so when the experts who have promised us they will mitigate all risks, when that doesn't work, instead they blame you. They tell you to blame your neighbor. It's your neighbor who's standing in our way. And so my call today is when you get beyond the coddling, what you realize is that the coddling in the end is a shield for people in power to never have to be answerable. If they can promise you that they will mitigate all your risks, even if they fail, they will just blame the person sitting next to you. If you go along with them, you will give them more power and more power and more power, but you won't lead a fulfilled life. We actually have to re-embrace risk on a personal level and on a societal level. We have to take the risk of freely exchanging ideas because that's where innovation happens. We have to take the risk of being able to invest and reap the benefits of that risk. We have to take the risks of, for example, in our personal relationship. In a personal relationship, getting married is a risk. It is foregoing a current benefit for a future gain. Right? You are foreclosing all sorts of other possibilities because you have chosen to make a life with this one person. That is a risk.
There's no hacks, bro. It's you against you. You against you. And if you misunderstand that, you have a real problem. A real problem. I can understand you misunderstand me running down the street, shirt off, fuck this, yeah, I can get it, I get it. If you misunderstand what I'm saying right now today, the problem is you, and you don't want to fix it.
How do you want to live? Stop just waking up like an accident. What do you want? And then once you find out what you want, spend the rest of your natural life waking up and going after it.
I think most people feel really lonely when you want something that doesn't currently exist. And so some people call that dreams, some people call that goals, whatever it is. You're trying to pull something from your mind into reality and you want it done a certain way. And if it's not done that way, it's not what you imagined. And so people on the outside will throw stones and call you names that they think will change your behavior and get you to stop. And the more I have been the person trying to pull things into reality, the more I've tried to weather and build kind of defenses against those things so that when those stones get hurled at you by being called a control freak or by saying you micromanage things or that you have incredibly high standards, the answer is yes, because I want it done right the first time. Because either way, if you have enough will, it's going to get done the way that I want it to get done regardless, and it'll be less painful if we just do it right the first time, because we will still have to do it, and you may have to do it 3 or 4 more times, but eventually you will just succumb to the fact that we're going to do it this way. And I think all of the great things that have happened for humanity have been from one man or woman who had an idea and just wouldn't let people shake it from them.
And so many people do this shit. They're talking to you on who they want to be. They're lying to you. And they walk away. I've done it so many times. Walk away like, God, man, why can't I just tell him the truth? Why the hell can I just tell him the truth? You know how good it feels for me now to look at you in your eye and every man I see. Because women won't get this. Women will not get this. Man to man, that man shit. When you look another man in the eye and you know that everything you're fucking saying is real. And it comes from a real working place, something that you earned. It's the best feeling in the world.
You can say that actually happened.
Yes.
Like I know with certainty what I'm saying actually happened.
Actually happened. Who I am and who I say I am, I am. No more lies. No more skirting the truth. No more bullshit. And that is worth every dime I've ever made in my life.
Imagine when you're older and your grandkids say to you, Granddad, tell me about what it was like when you were young. And you say, I didn't really do much, to be honest, because I was worried about what other people would think of me. I never took my shirt off because I hated the way I looked. I didn't start that business because I was scared it might fail. Just think about how silly that would sound. You only get one go around at this thing, blink and you'll miss it, crack of the whip and then you're gone. So make it worth it.
An easy productivity hack. Instead of spending time getting in the mood to work, just start working. Confront the work. People think they need perfect conditions to start, when in reality, starting is the perfect condition.
You know, somebody called me yesterday and asked me a very simple question. He said, Pat, you know, what do I do when I just don't feel like showing up to work today? What do I do? And I said, you know, it's a very good question. Sometimes it's a simple question that deserves a proper answer. And I said, look, we've heard the saying before. You know, you got to show up whether you feel like it or not. But I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's what the great ones do. I think it's even past that. You got to raise your standards to a whole different level. And I'll tell you what I think it is. You know, an entrepreneur, closest thing I can see to an entrepreneur is an actor or an athlete. Think about that, an actor and athlete. Can you imagine if somebody says, coach says, well, you got to show up to the game whether you feel like it or not. Well, every player shows up whether they feel like it or not. You know, every actor can say, I'm going to show up to the audition, but do you really think if you show up to an audition and just show up, you're going to get the job? You think you're just going to show up to practice and get starting time and you're going to get playing time? You're not. You not only have to show up, you have to show up when you don't feel like it, and you have to want to perform and psych yourself out to be in the zone and be confident and excited in the mood and, you know, figure out a way to psych yourself out, fool yourself into being positive, fool yourself into becoming such a high vibration type of an energy where all of a sudden you're starting to perform and then you start believing you're excited, then you completely forgot you were not in the mood. And entrepreneurs who do that are the ones who eventually win their own championships of business. They win their own academies, Oscars, World Series, Super Bowl, whatever you want to call it. But you not only have to show up, you got to show up at the highest possible level and gain value as well as bring value to everybody around you. Show up today and show up with the most incredible energy.